You know that little cross-shaped screw? The one that's holding together, well, pretty much everything you own, from your laptop to your car's license plate. It has a story you would never, ever expect. We're talking a tale of rejection, a full-blown industrial revolution, and a design debate that still gets people fired up today. Oh, we've all been there, right? That moment of just pure frustration when the screwdriver slips and it rounds out the head until it's completely useless. It feels like a terrible design flaw, doesn't it? Well, you're not exactly wrong. But see, that slipping, stripping moment, it's not just some random annoyance. It's actually the key to understanding a massive, fundamental shift in how we build things. Everything from the very first mass-produced cars to the planes that helped win World War II. So here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with a problem that was grinding early assembly lives to a halt. Then we'll meet the two guys behind the cross-shaped solution and see how it completely took over the world. After that, we'll dive right into the great debate about its most frustrating feature, check out its modern rivals, and finally take a look at what the future holds. Okay, let's hop in a time machine and go back to the early 1930s. Mass production is taking off, but there's this tiny yet absolutely massive bottleneck, and it's all because of the simple single-slotted screw. I mean, just imagine trying to line up a flathead screwdriver on a fast-moving assembly line. It was a complete nightmare. The driver would constantly slip out, they called it skating, scratching the brand new paint on a car, or even worse, injuring a worker. And those newfangled power tools? Forget about it. They were basically useless with these old screws. The industry was desperate for a screw that was faster, safer, and could, guide the driver right to the center all by itself. The answer didn't come from some huge corporation. Nope. It came from two men in Portland, Oregon, an inventor with a truly brilliant idea and a businessman who had the sheer determination to make it a reality. And here's where the names get really interesting. The actual inventor was an auto mechanic named John P. Thompson. He was the one who patented the self-centering cross-shaped screw. But when he took it to manufacturers, they all told him it was impossible to produce. So, totally frustrated, he sold the patent to a businessman named Henry Phillips. So get this, Phillips wasn't the inventor, he was the promoter. He was the one with the vision to tweak the design and figure out how to get it made. And in the end, he gave his own name to one of the most common objects on the entire planet. So how on earth did Phillips take a rejected idea and turn it into the global standard? Well, it was a perfect storm of a high-stakes gamble, one really smart business move, and believe it or not, a world war. It all happened in three major steps. First, Phillips finally got the American Screw Company to take a chance, investing $500,000, which was an absolute fortune back then, to crack the manufacturing problem. Then came the huge break. General Motors started using the screw on its 1936 Cadillac assembly line, and it sped up production like crazy. But the final nail in the coffin for the old slotted screw was World War II. The U.S. military made Phillips screws mandatory for literally everything, from Jeeps to fighter planes, and just like that, it became a global standard. All right, now we get to the real heart of the matter, that infuriating slipping and stripping we were talking about earlier. This whole phenomenon actually has a name: cam out. And whether it's a design flaw or a secret feature, well, that's the screw's most famous controversy. So, what is cam out exactly? Basically, it's the upward twisting force that pushes the screwdriver bit right out of the screw when you apply a lot of force or torque. It happens because the walls of that little cross shape are tapered and angled. The more resistance the screw meets, the more the driver just wants to pop right out. Now, there's this really popular myth that the screw was designed to cam out on purpose to prevent over-tightening, but this right here, this just blows that myth right out of the water. It's a direct quote from the inventor's original patent application. John Thompson's stated goal was to create a screw with, and I quote, no tendency to cam out. The idea that it was some kind of intentional feature from day one is just not true. And this brings us to the great paradox. Even though Thompson never, ever intended for it to cam out, this flaw ended up being an accidental lifesaver on those early assembly lines. See, the power tools back in the 1930s had zero torque control. Cam out basically acted like a primitive clutch. It forced the tool out before it could snap the screw head off or completely strip the threads. So, what's a total bug for us today was an incredibly useful, if totally unintended feature back at the dawn of mass production. Of course, engineers have been trying to solve the cam-out problem for decades now, and that's led to a whole bunch of, frankly, superior designs that are still fighting for dominance against the old Phillips standard. You could call it the modern screw wars.
So let's take a quick look at the main contenders. You've got the Robertson or Square Drive. It's a Canadian favorite, has a fantastic grip, but it just never really caught on globally. Then there's Positive, which looks a lot like a Phillips, but it adds these extra little ribs to reduce cam out. And then you have the Torx with its six-pointed star, which is just mechanically superior. It gives you the best torque with basically zero cam out. And yet, despite all these better designs, the Phillips is still king, mostly because it got there first and just became the standard everyone used.
So, what's next? What does the future hold for this humble little piece of hardware? Well, let me tell you, this simple screw is about to get a serious high-tech upgrade. The next generation of fasteners is going to be genuinely intelligent. I'm talking about smart screws with tiny sensors embedded inside them that can report back on the structural health of a bridge or an airplane wing all in real time. We're going to be 3D printing custom fasteners right on site using advanced materials like titanium alloys and carbon composites. And AI-driven robots will be installing them with a level of precision that's just way beyond what any human can do. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? The Phillips screw literally helped build the modern world. It solved one era's biggest problems while accidentally creating new ones for the next. So as technology marches forward, will this iconic little cross shape, born from a mechanic's frustration and a businessman's gamble, eventually just get screwed into the pages of history?
Don't forget to like and subscribe for more How Meets History.